Welcome back to Behind the Line podcast. Another ICE shooting, another wave of outrage, another mob inserting itself into active law enforcement operations, and once again, people are getting hurt. In this episode, we're cutting through the emotion and the misinformation to talk about what actually matters: the law, constitutional limits, and the very real danger of citizens interfering with armed federal agents. This is not a defense of government overreach. It's a warning about how chaos, misinformation, and mob behavior are pushing this country towards centralized power and federalized policing. If you care about the Fourth Amendment, local law enforcement, and keeping Americans safe, this is a conversation you need to hear. Another week, another ICE shooting. More outrage, more protests, and I'm afraid this is only going to continue to spiral. Hopefully it stays contained in Minnesota, but I don't think it will. I think we're going to see more incidents like this in other liberal cities. I want to go back to the most important basic question in all of this. Why are you, as a citizen, showing up at an active law enforcement operation and inserting yourself into the middle of it? At no time in this country's history has that ever been allowed or accepted behavior. Ever. And yes, ICE agents are federal law enforcement, regardless of how you feel about them. And who says they aren't? That means the Minnesota governor or the mayor of Minneapolis, it doesn't matter. They don't determine who is and who isn't law enforcement federally. You have never had the right to walk into an active law enforcement scene to film, interfere, or observe. If you want to protest or document, you do it from a safe distance. You do not get to be in the middle of it, period. I was a law enforcement officer for 8 years, where I worked like anywhere else in the country. If a citizen did that, they would be at a minimum detained and likely arrested. If you show up armed, yes, you might get shot. Yes, you absolutely have the right to carry a firearm, but you also have the responsibility to do so lawfully and with common sense. I don't know your intentions in that situation. I have to assume risk and hostile intent, especially if you're acting aggressive. These incidents unfold extremely fast. I had an on-duty shooting during my 8 years. I know what that's like. You don't know how this person's going to act, or who the person is, or what they're capable of, or what they plan to do. You're already in a dangerous environment, and now an unknown variable has inserted itself into it. And let's be honest, if you think you're going to walk into a group of heavily armed law enforcement officers and stop them, or take them out, you've played way too much Call of Duty. You're going to lose. You're not special forces. You're not a ninja. You're not some secret assassin. You're just some guy, usually with no training, no experience, and no understanding of how real violence actually works. Now, that being said, I've watched the publicly available videos of this shooting, and based on what I can see, it doesn't look like it's a good shoot to me. It appears there may have been an accidental discharge after the weapon was removed from Preddy. After that discharge, other agents jump back and open fire. In that moment, they have no idea who fired. Everything happens in seconds. It's total confusion. Now, whether charges come from that, I don't know. Personally, I think it's unlikely. But what absolutely doesn't help is the crime scene being immediately overrun and destroyed by a mob of people filming. You're not helping the victim. You're contaminating evidence. There also appear to be lies about the weapon being brandished, unless there's additional footage we haven't seen. But does that really surprise anyone? The government lies. The media lies. Republicans lie. Democrats lie. They've been lying to us for decades. Why would this be any different? At the end of the day, none of this chain of events would have occurred if he hadn't put himself there. Actions have consequences. You are responsible for yourself. Don't be somewhere you don't belong. You don't like how ICE is operating? Then change the law, because right now they are operating within the law. If someone is in this country illegally, they have broken the law. Period. Now, are there cases where ICE is too aggressive or harasses American citizens? Probably. And if that happens, it should be reported to local authorities and challenged in court. You do not get to take that into your own hands. You do not have that authority, no matter how entitled you think you are. No human is illegal. Sounds nice, and I understand the emotional appeal of that phrase, but it's wrong. Every country on earth enforces its borders. No country allows unlimited illegal immigration. None. You may not like it. It may not feel good, but the law does not operate on emotions. It operates on rules. That said, this is where ICE is absolutely wrong. ICE wants broad discretion to enter homes without judicial warrants, and that is unconstitutional. Traffic stops, public contacts, or arrests at workplaces are one thing. Forcing entry into a home without a judicial warrant is entirely different. While I don't necessarily believe constitutional protections should apply the same way to illegal immigrants, the burden of proof must still be on the government. They should have to prove the person inside that home is a criminal alien. Arbitrary entry creates massive risk. Enter the wrong house, the American citizens could be hurt or killed in a gunfight that never should have happened. This guidance was issued in a memorandum signed by Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons on May 12, 2025. It claims DHS legal counsel determined that administrative warrants are sufficient to enter homes. The memo instructs officers to use necessary and reasonable force to enter if refused. Whistleblower disclosures to Congress state that this memo has been selectively distributed and verbally trained, despite DHS's own written materials explicitly stating that Form I-205 does not authorize a Fourth Amendment search. Journalists witnessed ICE ramming into a Minnesota home with rifles drawn based solely on an administrative warrant. That raid led to a January 17, 2026 ruling by U.S. District Judge Jeffrey M. Bryan ordering the immediate release of a detainee, finding ICE violated both federal regulations and the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment is very clear. The bottom line is this: the government doesn't care about you or your feelings. The right experienced this under Biden. The left is experiencing this under Trump. The faster people realize it's we the people versus the institutions, the better. Politicians and mainstream media are deliberately driving division and instability. From that instability comes control. Conservatives cheering for federal power today will regret it when that power flips. Liberals did the same thing during Biden, calling for censorship, firings, jail, and disarmament. Chaos always results in more government oversight, always. And most people will accept it for their safety. This isn't just ICE. Every single day there's so much political, international, and social garbage that people can't even process it all. That's not an accident. You don't need conspiracies to see institutional momentum. Homeland Security was created after 9/11. And since then, we've seen a massive expansion of federal authority, always justified by fear, always sold as protection. If Trump invokes the Insurrection Act, it will be bad for everyone. That's not something anyone should want. Government never rolls power back, ever. During the George Floyd riots and COVID, it felt like we were dangerously close to being federalized national law enforcement. Cities let riots burn. Police were ordered to stand down. Budgets collapsed. Departments were gutted. I believe some cities would welcome a federal force they don't have to fund or control. That would be disastrous. Law enforcement must remain local, not centralized, militarized, federal apparatus. We are on the verge of something. I don't know exactly what. It may not be dramatic or immediate. It may be slow and subtle, but history shows that freedom usually dies quietly, while people are distracted, divided, and emotionally manipulated. The best thing you can do isn't panic. It isn't violence, it's awareness. Prepare your household, build community, stay rational. Because whatever is coming will reward people who stayed grounded and principled, not those who let fear or anger do their thinking for them.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.